All right, so if you're an expert, a coach, or a consultant, I bet you've felt this exact frustration. You're out there, you're doing podcast interviews, you're making content, but your client list, it just isn't growing the way it should be. It's a super common problem, and today we're going to break down a blueprint that could honestly change everything for you.
You know, this image just gets right to the heart of it, doesn't it? We can call it the visibility trap. You're putting in all this effort to be seen, to be heard, but it feels like you're just shouting into an empty room. And here's the hard truth. Visibility does not automatically equal clients. Being well-known isn't the same thing as being hired.
So why does this keep happening? Well, it's usually not about a lack of effort. It's almost always a lack of strategy. You know, maybe you're showing up on smaller podcasts where, frankly, there just aren't any buyers. Or maybe you haven't really positioned yourself as the authority for a very specific problem. And the big one, you might not have any system at all to turn a listener into an actual lead. The key idea here is so powerful. You're not missing exposure. You're missing the right rooms.
Okay, to fix this, we need a totally new way of looking at it. We need to frame this whole thing as a journey that takes your potential clients from this land of dinosaurs all the way to a destination island. And the one thing that gets them there? Your story. Your story is the bridge.
I just love this metaphor because it frames the journey perfectly. See, on one side, you've got the land of the dinosaurs. This is your client's current reality, all their pain, their struggles, the stuff that keeps them up at night. And on the other side, that's the destination island. That's the success, the opportunity, the solution that you provide.
So your personal story, your expertise, and how you actually talk about it, that is the bridge. It's the vehicle that safely carries someone from their problem right to your solution. And when you structure it this way, you stop being just another expert, and you become the only choice.
Okay, so we've got the metaphor down. Now let's get into the real blueprint for building that bridge. And it all starts with how you position yourself. It's time to stop being a specialist and start being the specialist.
This right here, this is probably the single most important mindset change you can make. It's the authority shift. You have to stop trying to be a generalist who can kind of help with a lot of things. Instead, you need to become the specialist who provides the #1 trusted solution for a very specific, very painful problem your client is facing.
And this brings us right back to that powerful idea from before. See, it's not just a clever little phrase, it is a core strategy. When you become the specialist, you no longer have to shout into the void. You get to be selective. You get to choose to show up only in the right rooms, on the right podcasts where you know your ideal clients are already listening.
So what does this actually look like in practice? Well, it's not about booking more interviews. It's about booking better interviews. It means focusing on those authority-aligned, top-tier podcasts. And you've got to have a conversion system ready to go because the math here is simple. One single appearance on the right podcast is worth way more than 10 appearances on the wrong ones.
But look, getting on the right show is only step 1. To actually guide people across that bridge from their problem to your solution, you absolutely need a solid back-end system. This is how you make sure everyone who starts the journey can safely make it to the other side.
So here's what that system looks like. It's a pretty simple 4-step process for managing attention. First, the interview creates the attention. Second, a really compelling lead magnet captures that attention. Third, a smart follow-up sequence nurtures it. And then finally, the sales conversation converts that attention into a paying client.
Now this is where almost everybody gets it wrong. They think the work is done as soon as the interview is over, and that's where they stop. But the real money, the real impact, the real leverage, it's all in what happens after the show.
Let's zoom in on that second step, the lead magnet, because this is where the system really comes to life. The key here is to make your offer interactive. I like to think of it as baby-proofing the bridge. You're making it so safe and so easy for potential clients to take that next step that they almost can't say no.
So what does a baby-proofed bridge actually look like? Well, it's not the old way, that's for sure. Forget about the boring, passive PDF download that just sits on a hard drive and collects digital dust. That's one-way communication. The smart way is to create an interactive experience, something that creates a two-way conversation and starts building a real relationship right away.
So what kind of experiences are we talking about here? Well, here are 3 fantastic options that go way, way beyond a simple download. It could be a quiz, it could be the first chapter of your book, or it could be a free masterclass. See, these aren't just files, they're invitations to actually engage with you.
And this is the really smart part, the psychology of why these work so well. A quiz lets a listener self-diagnose their own problem, which is incredibly powerful. A book chapter that instantly sets you up as the authority and makes them really curious for more. And a free masterclass, that's the ultimate trust builder. It shows people exactly how you think and how you solve problems.
So what does that destination island look like when you put this all together? Let's talk real numbers. By becoming the specialist, appearing on just one authority-aligned podcast a month, and using this system, landing just a single client from that effort could easily translate to over $60,000 in just 6 months. That's not a theory, that's a tangible outcome.
So as we wrap this up, this is really the question I want to leave you with. Take an honest look at your current strategy. Look at how you're showing up on podcasts, and more importantly, what you're doing after the microphone turns off. And then ask yourself, is your story building a reliable bridge to your destination island, or is it just creating more noise in the void? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know.